Hello, this is Miho. How are you doing? I hope your mental and physical health are good and fit. So today I'm gonna talk about this. The freedom. Doesn't sound great, the freedom. So this freedom I'm gonna talk about is that every one of us, the humans, have freedom to choose. No matter what kind of environment you're in, you have this freedom inside where you're going to focus on. What I mean by that is, for instance, for me, I was brought up in a very strict, controlled family where I fought so much because I didn't want to do the way they thought the best for me, but it wasn't for me. But culturally, I supposed to just take it and follow what the parents said because they are superior. They're supposed to know everything and they're supposed to be helping me. But for me, it wasn't. But, I couldn't really talk back and got in a fight or arguments, or I couldn't win. It just, I had no money, no independence. I had to obey, otherwise I couldn't survive, right, as a child or the teenager, sort of. Anyways, so I thought that I had no freedom. I thought that, my life is doomed because I was trained to think very negative ways, and I was trained to think things are very limited. I had this limited beliefs. I still carry them. I release them a lot. I'm still working on it, but this influence by parents or family are very strong. But you do have the freedom to choose, freedom where to focus on. So instead of focusing on good things, you have the freedom to focus on the bad things. That's all yours to make. So I used to focus on the bad things, like the way I brought up. It's so tight and I feel like suffocating. I can't really express myself and I get told off all the time and I was put down all the time. And I thought, okay, I was focusing on that environment a lot. So my habit was built up on that base where all kinds of negative thoughts were going on. So that was my life. And it wasn't going well. And very depressing, very unhappy place. And I didn't have a place for me to really feel good. So I wasn't aligned myself. I was living somebody else that tried to please my parents or please somebody else. And I was neglecting my needs because I believed that, having my own wants or the wish were not important. Everybody else needs to come first. That's what I believed. So those lot of beliefs, in the old culture. And then I look at people who are having such a great life and they're sparkling and they're so, energetic and successful and healthy and joyful and peace at the same time. I was wondering why they could lead those life, not me. And I thought they were totally different. Maybe they were born in a rich family. They were born just in a very supportive family, which is so different from me. So I was separating them from me. And I chose to focus on, again, the negative part of my life. But you do have the freedom to choose, the freedom to focus on, to take the environment you're in. It could be really rough or tough one, to make you stronger, to think, to take that environment to make you stronger as a person and take as a fuel so that you want to become, a certain way. You don't want to, stay in where you are. You have the big vision. You have a total different culture that you would like to create. And that's your freedom too. You don't have to follow what the ancestors or your parents did. You have your own freedom to choose, to focus on. And then I start to realize that people who are really successful, healthy, joyful and peace and happy, their environment was not always greatest. Some are really suffering when they are little or growing up, and it wasn't the ideal condition, but they just focused on what they really want to be. They created their own culture, they created their own life vision, and they just went for it instead of wishing or wanting it. Wanting it, something is great to start, but that also implies that you're unsatisfied with your status. So you're not satisfied with what you have, so you want it, right? Unless you're becoming it, you're not gonna change. When you're becoming it, you're putting your foot in front of you. You're processing. You're on a process to your goal, or the vision that you have in the future, and you go one step at a time. And used to read a lot of books. In those days, there were no YouTube or any other internet tools like we have now. It's wonderful. So I invested a lot of money in books or DVDs or seminars. So I just listened to all those people's stories, and I start to get the essence of what they are like. So I start to imitate, or I start to model their ideas, or their thinking process, and I start to really putting it in my blood and soul, I would say. And I learned so much, and I realized that okay, you have the freedom to focus on the things that you choose. It's not what other people's or environment will choose for you. You're the one who have the freedom to choose and where to focus on. So it doesn't really matter what kind of environment you're in. Of course, you get lots of influence by the way you brought up, right? Your foundations. But often that becomes your strength, because otherwise you couldn't go through that toughness or hardship. So it really turns out to be your strength. So when you're having a tough time, think of this way, that you're so tough, you have such a strength to go through it. Otherwise you wouldn't have that experience, because you have such a strength. That's why you go through what you're going through. So when you shift your focus on things that you really need to become, then your world start to shift. Other people, other environment wouldn't really grab you and hold you to the ground as much. So you take a step by step. It's not gonna be fast train all of the sudden, but it will change. Your world start to shift, because you're becoming to be, the life vision of yours. So that's where the change happens. That's where the transformation happens. It's just wanting it. You're just saying, implying that you're dissatisfied with your condition. But when you want to change or transform yourself, you'll start becoming to that vision. That's the process that you need to focus on. And so you take it, you know, whatever the environment you're in or toughness that you're going through as an opportunity to grow, to be stronger, or you focus on those setbacks of life and, you know, negativities and all those upset events that you focus on. That's your freedom to choose which way you like to focus on or which way you choose to live. So that's what I mean by every human has the freedom to choose and the freedom to really be yourself. And when you become alignment with yourself, you know it because you feel so comfortable. And in order to feel this, you needed to go through some tough time, you know, not align with yourself so that you know the difference. It's like when you know, you know, good food versus really, you know, awful food. So it's the same thing in life. You needed to learn or taste of the bad, you know, life so that you know what's like to be alignment with yourself, what it's like to be comfortable with yourself in peace and harmony. So when you have that inside, you become very confident, self-esteem, you know, rise. So you don't really need to look for them. You just become to be who you really are, and you just live of being of who you are. And you start to explore yourself. You start to really interested in yourself, and you start to want to challenge yourself to see what you can do, what more you could see, you know. So it really start to snowball effect, and you start to like yourself. So you don't really need to spend how to self-love. You have it within you. It's just so many layers of belief that you were fed while you're growing up. It's blinding you. It's just clouding over. So when you take those, you know, layers of belief that you don't need anymore, it becomes very obvious to you that you have everything inside, and you become so peaceful and harmonized and happy and joyful, and your life becomes so much brighter, and you can do so much, and you see the potentials in you. Everyone has this light inside, and you see it, you feel it. So you have the freedom where to focus, what to choose, no matter what the environment you're in, what kind of toughness you're going through. You have always a solution, and that's your freedom where to focus on. So just think about something to think about and to enhance your life in quality. Okay, so see you in the next video. Bye bye.